Flameclaw and Lawrence, along with a few of the other queens, were headed to the two-leg place that morning to perform some music. The singing animals contest might have ended, but that didn't mean the stage was gone, and today was the day they'd been waiting for, an opportunity to play. Finkit watched them leave, a contemplating expression on his face. "I know what we're going to do today," Finkit announced. He and the other kits were sitting around a rabbit that they were sharing. "What is it?" Applecit asked. "We're going to put on a circus," Finkit exclaimed. "What is a circus?" Applecit tilted his head. "It's a fun event where you do fantastic things in front of an audience," Finkit explained. "We learned about them in the two-leg place. They were on television." "Fantastic like flying, or fantastic like a good hunting crouch?" Curlkit asked. "Both," Finkit beamed. "Everyone can have an act, even Perry." Perry looked over from where he was sitting nearby. "Oh, I have a mystical, magical act that I would like to perform." Applecit positioned his paws so that it looked like he was removing his dew claw and reattaching it. "It's stupefying." "I have another act that will bring the camp down," Biffkit added. "Let's do this," Bellkit cheered. Flamepaw sighed dreamily in Lemonpaw's direction. "Oh, Lemonpaw," she whispered to herself, "good morning." Ever since the singing animals contest, Flamepaw had found herself constantly thinking about Lemonpaw. Lemonpaw noticed her looking. "Would you like to go on patrol together?" he asked. "Oh, of course." Flamepaw stood up, and the two of them walked out of camp. "We look great, Fern," Finkit said. They were both dressed in leaves and flowers. "Say, where's Perry? I put on his costume." Perry was slipping out of camp. He was still adorned with his leafy outfit, so he hopped over the stones of the river, careful not to get wet, before diving into a tunnel that led to his lair. "Okay, Agent P, Hines is buying biomechanical equipment and—" Major caught sight of Perry's outfit. And we don't know why, but—" Perry stood up to leave. "Where are you going, Agent P? Wait. I'm not laughing at you. I just heard a funny joke earlier. Please, turn around so that we can conclude our meeting." Perry turned around, and Major snapped a photo of him. "Haha, Carl, what's your email? I'm going to send this to you." "So, Biffkit, what exactly is your act?" Finkit asked. "I fly into mud," Biffkit said. "I see," Finkit mused. "I'll arrange some mud for the circus." "The peeps are gonna love," Biffkit purred. "Hey, Flamepaw, look!" Lemonpaw jumped up onto a branch. "There's a bird nest up here." "Oh, we should try to get some eggs." Flamepaw leapt up next to Lemonpaw. "Wait," Lemonpaw's voice was cut off as the branch cracked. The two apprentices fell to the ground. Lemonpaw landed on the grass, and Flamepaw landed in a patch of wild parsnips. "Oh, ew!" Flamepaw leapt away from the plants. "The sap got all over me," she coughed. "You should see my dad," Lemonpaw said worriedly. "What?" Flamepaw looked up. "He's the healer," Lemonpaw explained. "Sparkleaf? You've met him, right?" "Oh, right, yeah. We should get back to camp then. Let's go." Flamepaw and Lemonpaw walked back to camp. "I'm dancing with your wife, pal. You got a problem with that?" An audio recording played. I'm dancing with your wife, pal. You got a problem with that?" Hines lowered his voice as he spoke, glaring at the tape recorder. "Oh yes, that does sound tough." "Yeah, I ate your last nectarine. You got a problem with that?" the recording continued. "Yes, I ate—" Hines was cut off as Perry crashed through the window. "Perry the platypus, look, could you use the front door from now on? Could you do that for me?" Perry glanced over at the front door, where a variety of lethal traps were set up. His eyes widened. "Also, what are you wearing? You look kind of— I mean, yes, I ate your last nectarine. You got a problem with that?" Hines growled at Perry. "Sounds tough, huh? But not tough enough, you see." He pressed a button, and a rope bag scooped up Perry, trapping him. Hines continued. "Ever since I was a kid, I've had a high, squeaky voice. But not anymore. Behold, the Voicinator. It biomechanically transforms normal air into dufelium, which will make everyone else's voice higher, making my voice deeper by comparison. I was going to lower my own voice, but, it seemed like too much trouble." "Of course it had to be wild parsnips," Flamepaw muttered as she walked over to the healer's den. Lemonpaw had gone off to do some hunting alone. She entered the healer's den, but she didn't see Sparkleaf. Then she noticed a commotion at the side of the camp. She hurried over to see what was happening. "There's going to be a circus," Junglepaw remarked to her as she approached. "Do you think your brothers will let me have an act?" "Obviously. Have you met them?" Flamepaw stated. You really think so? We haven't really met, no, but I thought. Jungle Paw was cut off by Flame Paw's bout of coughing. Are you okay? Not really, Flame Paw coughed. Where's Sparkleaf? I'm right here, said a voice behind her. Flame Paw spun around to face the tall golden Tom. What seems to be the issue? Sparkleaf asked. Wild parsnips, Flame Paw exclaimed. Did you eat them? No, but I got the sap in my fur and it burns. You need to go to the river and wash off the sap immediately. After that, try to avoid the sun for a few days. You'll be more likely to get burnt. Flamepaw nodded. Okay, will do. By the way, do you know where my mom is? Flameclaw and the other queens went to go perform some music in the two-leg place, Sparkleaf said. Got it. Thank you. Bye. Flamepaw ran off, exiting the camp and barreling towards the river that connected the two-leg place to the forest. She leapt in, rubbing against the stones to get the sap off, and then she climbed out on the other side, shaking her fur to get dry. She then continued running, trying to keep to the shadows, until she reached the stage where her mother was playing. Hines lifted off the ground on a hovercraft, his inator next to him. Perry bit the ropes binding him, and he managed to tear a hole large enough to get out. Then he leapt up and grabbed onto the bottom of the hovercraft, clinging onto it as it flew towards Meadowclan territory. Let's hear it for Applekit the Stupefying! And for our next act, the amazing Perry! Finkit's voice could be heard from the air. Perry's eyes widened, and he let go of the hovercraft, dropping down into the trees. He hurried over to the dark area behind the makeshift circus stage. Perry, are you here? Finkit's voice asked. Perry chattered, and he emerged onto the stage. Everyone, Finkit announced. Watch and be amazed as the semi-aquatic Perry jumps through the hoop and into the shallow pond. Perry leapt through the hoop and landed in the water. Cheers erupted from the watching cats. Perry did a small bow, and then he exited the stage, shaking off his costume and climbing up the trees until he reached the very top. He spotted Hines' hovercraft nearby, and he jumped onto it, just behind the evil cat. Psst! Mom! Flamepaw climbed up onto the stage and approached her mother. Her voice was deep, having gone through a reaction to the wild parsnips. Flamepaw! I know that voice. Have you been near any wild parsnips? Flameclaw smiled indulgently at her daughter. You shouldn't be out in the sun like this. Mom, you've got to see what Finkit and Fern are doing. What is it now? Mom, there's always up to something, and it's bringing me to tears, 'cause just before you get home, it always just magically disappears. Those kids are evil, but before you get home, they somehow always clean up the mess. Testify, Flamepaw, testify, Barkpelt, another queen, insisted. Those kits are evil. Let me spell it out for you, Mom. EVILKITS. They built a roller coaster and a beach in that cave-in. They chased me through the garden and set me on fire just so they could win. They took me back in time, and though it hasn't happened yet, you bust them for their crimes and then you send them to the vet. Those kids are evil. Their crazy shenanigans cause me all kinds of distress. Those kids are evil. Sing it with me. EVILKITS. I know you think they're StarClan sense, but Mom, I'm here to tell. Those KITS, they're just EVIL. Those kids are evil. They're making me feel like my head's in a hydraulic press. And I don't feel too good. Those kids are evil. Everybody, EVILKITS. That's what I'm talking about. EVILKITS. That's right, those kids are evil little kids. Okay, Mom, so you gonna come home with me? Flamepaw asked after she was done singing. Are you kidding, hun? Let's do another. Arg! Flamepaw turned around and stomped off the stage. Ah, Perry the Platypus, you are too late to stop me, Hines hissed once he turned around and spotted Perry. Perry chattered and went to hit the off button on the inator. Hey, stop that! Hines swatted Perry's paw away. Stop that! He did it again. Hey, stop! Perry was tickling him, and he whipped his tail forwards to slap Perry's paw once more. Stop that! Stacy had been watching the performance in the two-leg place, and she rather enjoyed Flamepaw's song. But as she watched Flamepaw stomp off, she wondered if there was more to the story than just interesting lyrics. Stacy hurried after Flamepaw. Thank you, Jungle Paw, the feline pretzel, Finkit said. That's gotta hurt. But next up is Biffkit, the Feline Cannonball. We've already loaded him into the cannon, which Fern will roll out in a moment. We will then shoot him into the mud of doom. Behind the stage, Fern was looking around for Biffkit, but he couldn't find him. Flamepaw stomped forwards, growling. Fern, is that you? I need to get out there, Flamepaw said, bumping into Fern. Fern chattered and pushed Flamepaw into the cannon. Hey, what's this? Flamepaw asked as Fern rolled the cannon out onto the stage. Finkit fired the cannon, and Flamepaw shot out of it so fast that no one could see anything more than a blur as she shot up into the air. Everyone stared after her. He must have been lighter than we calculated, Finkit mused. What? Bifkit peered out onto the stage. Someone stole my spot! He hurried over to the mud and jumped in. Hey everybody, look over here! Everybody looked, and then they cheered. What? How do you get over there? Finkit asked. Perhaps Bifkit truly is amazing, Fern murmured. Perry punched Hines, and he flew backwards into the Inator, which deployed a pipe from the hovercraft that hovered over the stage of the circus. Great, now this thing's broken, Hines sighed. Molly, Toms, Jackson, Jibs, Finkit announced. His voice got higher and higher as he spoke. I give you our entire cast in our grand finale, featuring the amazing Perry. Perry leapt off the hovercraft to land behind the stage. He went out onto the stage and participated in the ending bow of the circus. The Dufelium filled up the tent, causing it to fly upwards, hitting Hines's hovercraft and taking it with it across the forest. Stacy, in the audience for the circus, narrowed her eyes. She was the only one who spotted the device flying across the sky. Curse you, Perry the Platypus! Hines squeaked in a very high voice. Flamepaw dragged herself back into camp, bruised and very burnt from the sun. Urgh, she muttered. Hey, Flamepaw, Stacy approached. I was at the performance. How'd you get your singing to sound like that? It was so cool. Oh, you know, Flamepaw shrugged. Wild parsnips.